Well, hello everyone. This is after I got off work on Friday night, so this is actually Saturday morning. It's 6 minutes until 3 a.m. It has been a hot week. Boy, I'll tell you what. Where I'm at in Oklahoma, it was 95 degrees when I walked out at 10 till 12 a.m. We're talking almost midnight and it's still 95 degrees. Anyhow, I wanted to show the pictures that I shot tonight of our moon. And 2010 the countdown, I like your little series that you've done. I'm in agreement with you. So this is what I saw tonight. And whenever it was coming up, this is like a telephone pole right here. I'm just standing next to it, but as it was coming up, it was like reddish orange, and it was pretty low in the horizon. It's pretty big looking, but as it rose, it got farther away, and then eventually turned into something else. And this is a different one that I took, and I hope that this webcam will do it justice, because to me, what I saw and what I see when I'm looking at the picture filming this, it looks reddish orange. So I hope the screen isn't capturing too much glare so you can get the full effect of it. And that's a little different angle as it's coming up higher, and even as it got that higher in the horizon, it still appeared that color. And this is a little different one. It still has that color, although it is more of a yellowish around the edges now in this particular photo. And this would be right about 10 till 9 or 5 till 9 p.m. Now this is what it turned into, was this right here. Now this is at 10:30. So this is taken roughly about an hour and a half later. And you see it's just bright white. And I mean, it was bright. It lit up the sky quite a bit. You could just look up and see it, and you could see a illuminated section, and you could see where it darkened up and everything on the other side. So we ended with this. We started with that. So in an hour and a half, you got that. Now the other day, when it was like 7 or 8 degrees or something, we had clouds. It's like we were in this circle with a shield around us, but there were clouds all around us, and little towns to the east and the south and the north and the west were getting some showers. We were hearing about getting some rain, and they were talking about some storms might get severe. So we got like 4 drops, and we could see everything going on miles away to each direction, but we ended up getting nothing. But somehow this must be in between them and us, where they were getting it. Somehow we ended up with a nice little rainbow. So I poked my head outside and looked to see if we were getting any rain, and realized nope, we got 3 drops. Then I looked up and saw this big old rainbow, and I wondered how did we get one, but I guess it was farther away than what I could realize. So next I'd like to say, this guy here is playing games. Well, they all are. Everything's probably already set and they're running by a script. But the script that they're portraying now is that he's mad and he's trying to get something done for the good of us. So the game looks to me like it looks like if your vote really counted, which I don't really believe it does anymore. I think it's all manufactured. Who's going to do what pre-vote, pre-campaign, pre-everything. But if it were to count, and you could do something, what the script they're playing out is it's just a power deal again. It always is. They both want the power, and he's going to paint the other side as if things were to go south with the economy and the dollar, which I don't believe they're going to default, because you've already heard George Soros, who backs Obama with tons of money in the past election and in his future campaign and re-election bid. He's already on record saying that they, or we, whoever they or we were, believed that they could manage the decline of the US dollar in an orderly fashion. So if it crashed, that wouldn't be an orderly fashion. And that's why I believe they're just toying around on your TV and everything. And they're going to come to some kind of an agreement. I think they're going to jack around, get pretty close to the last week, or maybe in the last week, possibly close to the end. But he is posturing that if they balk and squawk and were to default, it would be their fault, and he would blame the other side for all of it, which would work to his advantage if your vote counted at the ballot box, because then there'd be a backlash and a changeover of power once again, which would give he and his party majority, just like before, to ram through anything they wanted. So that's one area of it. And if they give him the money, though, that he's asking for to raise the debt ceiling, and they don't make stiff cuts like they originally held to when they came to the table to bargain with this one, then it's going to look like he's a great negotiator and he was able to bring the peace and get something done. So either way, it's going to make him look good, because if you know the way he is, if he's even in jeopardy of being exposed as a liar or a cheater or a do-nothing or an anti-American, then he just pushes it off on someone else as the blame. Here's the old finger pointing. Someone else is to blame. So that's how that little game is played out. So I'd like to go into, here we are. Go on to the Earth Alert and look at some of our activities. Now I've set this for 4.0. There are more which are lower than 4.0, but we'll just go through some things quickly. Arkansas, I've never forgotten about you or anyone in the Madrid fault line. Nobody down in Louisiana who is in jeopardy of the Mississippi flooding, because you're still going to get the runoff from the join up of the Missouri, so you can be wet for a while. Hopefully not flooded. But we still know that Arkansas has suffered some twos in the twos range in earthquake activity that is registered. I've looked at that, and we know they're getting threes and twos along here in California, Oregon. There's some activity over here. You see sporadic activity in Nevada, and then it'll sprout up here once, like in Wyoming, and even way up here in Montana whenever they had one here just not too god-awful long ago. So your 5 is your 5-6 on the 12th. Remember that one in Costa Rica. And then if you move her on down here, well, then you can see that Chile had the 6 on the 15th, and then they had a 5-3 the day before, right out here off the rise. And then you just come down here some, and of course they had a 5.5 on that Pacific Rim on the 11th. So bing, bang. Of course there's another 5.2. I don't know if I mentioned that. Bing, bang, boom. You can come way down here, and this would be July the 15th, Friday, and you get yourself a 5.9 on the South Sandwich Islands region, way down here on that little crevice. Now when we wind around here, we know also that the United Kingdom even saw a little action with the 3.9, and we know about the 6.4 in the Philippines 4 days ago. And this area over in here, it just gets plowed and plowed and plowed. They're fairly settled for the second. The Indonesian area, you see a lot of 4s in the past, and here's their 5.0 on the 9th. So they're calm, so to speak, for the second. There's a 5.4 in Vanuatu, and this was today. So, and you're going to get your Fijis and Tongas. They have been having, this one was 5.7 a few days ago. Then there's your 5-6 on Thursday the 14th. And there's your 5.9, which is now Saturday, July the 16th. But you're seeing throbbing and pulsating in this very active region. New Zealand is actually not getting anything today. Nothing that I can see along their island over here. And this was the 9th, it looks like, for these 5s over here near their coast. We're going to wind up here. And of course you remember the 7 over in Japan on the 9th. Japan is getting some 5s at the moment now. But I still believe the ring of fire in their area in Indonesia and all the way over here is just a big giant crack, and I just think it's going to just blow out from this area here. I was looking at Vanuatu last time when they had that 9, and they're another region that I keep an eye on, because I remember they had a little activity before that 9. So we're going to look at our solar activity, and right now it's pretty calm. There's really no there isn't any CMEs blowing at us or anything right now at the moment. So what there is a nice little picture here. And I'll tell you what it is if you haven't already read it. The title is Spooky Communication, and it reads, "The skies over the Spanish island of La Palma offer many beauties, but on the 4th of July I witnessed something unusual, a ghostly green laser beam crossing the Milky Way," reports Jan Hattenbach from the Canary Islands. "I have learned that it was part of an experiment in quantum communication." Quantum communication. A ghostly green laser beam crossing the Milky Way. Okay. Rupert Urson of the Institute for Quantum Optics and Quantum Information at the Austrian Academy of Sciences explained to me that the laser was part of an inter-island quantum cryptography experiment, says Hattenbach. Physicists send entangled UV photons from the Roque de los Muchachos Observatory on La Palma to the European Space Agency's optical ground station 144 kilometers away on the island of Tenerife. The goal is to demonstrate the feasibility of quantum communication over very long distances in space, e.g. to the International Space Station or other satellites. While the UV photons are invisible to the human eye, the green laser is not. It is used as a tracking laser or a giant laser pointer. It remained invisible even in broad twilight and made a good show together with the Milky Way, the morning zodiacal light, and Jupiter, sending coded information via entangled photons. If the idea disturbs you, you're in good company. Einstein himself ridiculed the notion as spooky action at a distance. Experiments like this one, however, they say, show that this is possible. So, the picture is this, I hope you can see it okay, this light looking cloudy starry stuff here with a dark middle is the Milky Way. And you can see right along here, going up through here, is the laser beam. So they claim that they're shooting, what did they say? Information encoded in it. The feasibility of quantum communication over very long distance. Amazing, huh? A laser beam carries the information. But I thought that was a nice little thing to look at what they're doing in their time. And that is going to bring me back to change over to this. I want to talk about a little bit about Elenin, Nibiru, Planet X, Wormwood. I know that the things that we talk about can really get a person down and bum them out. I've got some messages, and I want to just say that timelines are just what they are, and when you, at least for myself and others, I believe, when you look at the timeline, it's adjustable, but you're looking at an area that is pointed to by what information, what data that you have that is leading you to come to that decision on these times. Now, JPL and NASA is where we see a lot of information from, and we have to scrutinize it very hard, simply because they've been caught hiding things before, too numerous times to even discuss, for the point that I'm making. And when you go back and look at the whole big picture out of the box, the JP of JPL was a Satanist. It wasn't popularized that he was, but it was known that he was a protege of Aleister Crowley. And it was said that he even talked about some of the occult magic helping him to devise the engines and methods of propulsion that propelled NASA into the space team that they are now. So beings that we already know, they have Luciferic ties, and you can look at their patches and their logos, the names of their missions, the people that name the objects and or planets, and what do they pick out to call them. When you really look at it, you can figure things out and come to the conclusion that there's something, when it's being repeatedly done over and over and over, that there's something to that tie-in. And that's another reason that we bear down on the orbit diagram datas. Now, that's what I'm talking about being adjustable. Because when you put the prophecies together, and you put the data from them together, and you put it all together, it seems to point to a window of time of which we spoke about on certain dates. So it could be pre, it could be post, or it could be right on. And I know it's not something to look forward to, of course, if it turns out to be bad stuff. But you shouldn't become real depressed or anything. Just live your life like you always have, except make your preparations, if you're going to, of your bug out bag or whatever you call it, that you would need in times like there may be. It's not going to hurt anything to be prepared. You know, you already have all your stuff ready, instead of having to do it whenever, or if ever, or whenever something were to happen. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't be afraid. Because I know that some are, and that's not anyone's intention that I know. Really know that's on YouTube, that I'm friends with, or that I know of anything that would try to just do something to scare people. No, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to help people to be ready in case there is something, and it looks like there is something. So, you can't put your whole life on hold, so you must keep living just like normal, but knowing that nothing is really normal, and that there's probably some stuff coming down the line. So you make your preparations in advance so that you're not stuck on the spot in case something down the line does occur on the times that you're looking at, or near the times. You understand what I'm saying? This is a time to be stronger and not fearful. You can conquer your fear. Everyone's going to have some of it, myself included, because some of these, well, all of these things are unknowns. So usually people are fearful of things that are unknown to them, or their first times at stuff. Not everyone, but some people are. So there are ways of conquering your fear, and God will have your back. If you love Him and believe in Him and trust Him, then you don't have anything to fear. I'm not saying He's going to put a force field up around every single person just because they're His believer, real believers and stuff. I'm saying whether it's here or whether it's in the afterlife, He's got a hold of you. So that's why you have no fear, because it doesn't matter whether He saves you here from everything or whether He saves you and takes you over there. Either way, you're going to win as long as you're with Him. So that's how you can have no fear. I'm not saying it's easy to take it away, but let it dwell inside you with that knowledge, and let it grow, and just trust Him. A lot of people are talking from what I'm getting messaged, and they're definitely worried about the planet being hit, and it just very well may be. The things that we've looked at point to that. We hope that we're wrong. I do. I hope that every one of us are wrong, but I know that it all can't be wrong. Not all of it. Some of it has to be, because it's what God said would happen. In the book of Revelation, we see the signs all over the place. All the things that He listed as precursors to what comes after those. So we just open our eyes and go around the globe and see all the famine, all the disease, all the hunger, all the death, all the everything, and it's like a checklist. Just put a check by it. Just read the Revelation, and do we have this? Yes. Do we have this? And just put a check by it, and we got it all. And that's what He said. When you got them signs, it ain't stopping with them signs. It's keeping on going, and it's going to finish out. So when you know that's your baseline information, because it's the truest one that you've got, that will never fail you, and it'll always be right. When you got that to start out with, then you're looking at the other stuff after that to see if it matches this. If it looks like it's matching up, then you're coming up with so many things common that they look like they all interweave and lead you to the same conclusion. So there's no changing the ending. It's how do we work through everything as things take off and finish out. Now, everything's not just going to stop if Elenin does anything, if we get a pole shift or whatever. It can't be. That's impossible, because there's things that haven't happened yet that are preordained to have to fill out. We haven't had the Battle of Armageddon yet. So when you look at the big picture out of the box, some areas or some way, some things have to be left. Some people have to be left, some land has to be left, there has to be somewhere stable, and obviously the area where they fight Armageddon is going to be stable enough to have a war on. So no matter what happens from here on out until that point, you see where I'm going with this? Something has to be able to be carried out. Israel has still not played her hand. And Israel is the true key on the ground here. You just keep your eyes on Israel, and they are the key. Now, who was Goliath? He was the giant warrior, and he was a Philistine. And they came against Israel, and they wanted some conquering, and some slaughter, and they faced off, and of course David killed Goliath. But the point being, even way back then, the Philistines were coming against Israel to try and kill them and take them over and conquer them, slaughter them. Even then. So Israel is owning or occupying or standing upon something where all their peoples are at back then. And these other peoples, the Philistines, are coming trying to conquer and take it away. So we see that back then in this particular story. And we come to modern day, and we see the Palestinians, who are the modern day Philistines, and the problems that they have with their situation and the Israeli situation about the land. And we see a parallel. We see that even in modern day, nothing against having a place to live and everything, but you see where I'm trying to say. They still try to come and take things away and get rid of the other side. And you see that in the ancient stories, battles and conquers. It's amazing how many wars have been fought, and how many times Jerusalem and Israel have been taken. So that is not, the whole story of Israel is not played out yet. And that's what I mean by no matter what happens, some things are still not done. We've not seen the rise of the Antichrist or anything yet. And so this is things to happen possibly after all these other bad things start to happen or do happen. So I wish that we were completely wrong and we were like, I don't know, 200 years off. But I don't see that. There was an interesting video from the Antarctica, which was supposedly come from the 14th, it looked like, and it sure showed some different things, some surely different things. And I looked at it and looked at it and looked at it, and the more I looked at it, the more interested I got in looking at it, and I just kept looking at it. And I thought I could blame a couple of things off on some glare reflection, but the more I looked at it, the more I realized I couldn't blame it off on that glare reflection. And I think there's definitely something to those photos from that day, and I hope everyone can find that. Who was that? I think his name was Ursu Adams. I believe that was his name. I'd have to pull that video up to make sure. I've got it in my history, of course. I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and favorite it, and then anybody that comes to my channel or anything, you know, you can go into my favorites and pull it, if you want to do it that way. But keep your chins up. There's better times coming. It's not all going to be bad. You know, in the end, everything's okay in the end. It's just getting to the end that's the roughest part. But you just keep your faith and stay strong and don't doubt anything. And when you get scared, if you do, just reach down deep and say a prayer and ask God to help you be strong. It's not gonna just fall on deaf ears and He's gonna ignore you. He's gonna do something to help you to relax, not feel as stressed, not feel as worried, not feel as sad, because He knows that you're worried about it and He wants to help you with it. And anybody that has any questions for me that I can help them with, or if you're a little fearful or anything, I'll definitely speak to you and try and help you any way that I can. So I definitely wanted to speak about that, because that was some really good messages, and I could really understand where you were going and what you were feeling. And I wanted to try and speak with you in this video to try to help settle you a little bit. You know, every now and then I catch myself and I'm catching some fear, and then I realize when you can't really alter it or do anything about it, then there's really nothing to fear, truly, when it comes down to it. You're just basically doing the best you can to deal with whatever's coming your way. So I've I pretty well got everything in here for now. That's all I can really remember that I wanted to speak about at this time. So it's still going to be very hot, at least where I'm at, in sections of the country. Well, the country overall is still pretty hot, and the Missouri River is still flooding. So none of that has changed, and we pray for those people. We pray for our entire country and everyone all over the world. So I might make one tomorrow. I'm going to have to get up early and cut my grass before it gets real hot. So I probably would be later tomorrow night. And I might have a little something. We'll just see what's going on in the world. Until then, I wish everyone the best. Have a safe weekend, enjoyable one. Try to beat the heat if you're in somewhere sweltering. And I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.